Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Brown Girls Are Beautiful. I am your hostess and your melanated queen. All right. So now that I know that I can hear myself, let's go ahead and get into it. Right now, we are going to be exploring Diddy. He's in jail on this Thanksgiving. We're going to review the lawsuit and the review of the D&G girl, okay? Because this has been an ongoing situation ever since Lamesha Fuller has come forward, okay? And I've pulled up several different things on this topic. Um, Hopefully I can share my screen and you'll be able to see what I have here. Let me see. Okay, there we go. I'm sharing. Hopefully you can see this. All right, now this is in regards to the Lionel B show. This is where we first saw Lamesha Fuller and Adria English on the Lionel B show. So make sure if you want to see this interview, you check them out. This is where we saw this, okay? Um, Hold on, y'all. I'm looking for my remote. All right. Hopefully, I won't have any confusion here. Okay. Just a second, y'all. Getting situated. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So now that I have this all taken care of, who you see pictured on the screen is Lamesha Fuller. She is the infamous alleged Diddy victim. Okay, she has come forward and she's made a lot of claims about Diddy. Now, we've already reviewed the claims that she's made on prior videos. All right, so I don't really feel like delving back into that. Now, I just wanted you to take a look at her picture on the screen. Clearly, you can see what she looks like. Now, I'm going to exit out of the full screen and I'm going to pull up her Facebook page, y'all. So hopefully you'll get to see this. The Facebook page shows her name, Lamesha Fuller. This is public knowledge. This is all out there for the public to review. So it shows here that apparently she lives in Garland, Texas. She's from Garland, Texas. Relationship says it's complicated. All right. Now let's go ahead and look at some photos. All right. It looks like her last updated photo was in 2014. Clearly, this is her. This looks a lot like her. This is her, I guess, when she was younger, and it looks like it says June 24th, 2014. Now, I don't know. Maybe this was supposed to be her in 2014. I'm assuming this is what she was looking like back then. She does have some people that commented on the picture 9 years ago, 10 years ago. So that's about accurate because if you take 2024, you take away 10, you get 14. That's 2014. So she was much younger back then. Now I know she brought up 9/11, which happened in 2001, I believe. Yeah. Let's look at some other photos. All right, there's another picture of her. Looks like she had her hair dyed reddish. I believe this could have been her again. This just gives you some insight and clarity of what was going on back in the day with her. Um, this looks like she had her hair in some type of braids. Looks like burgundy. She had lashes on. Looked like she had her makeup done. Same tattoo. That was her again. All right, this is her again. Somebody wrote 10 years ago, Christopher Baker is so young and cute. LOL. Hey. Very cute. Lord bless me with her number. LOL. With you, hey beautiful. How are you doing today? If you get this message and you're single, can you hit me up at any time? Somebody say cute and sexy pic. That's just too beautiful. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Here's another picture of her again, April of 2014. And then we see here's another one of her at the apartment complex, bent over, wearing the shorts. Somebody said, look out now, cute pic, cute, shaky. What the H you typed wrong thing, Keith Fuller. Okay. All right. So that must be someone that's related to her. All right. Um, then she has a plethora of friends on here, which I'm not even about to go through her friends list. These are just photos that I'm going through. Like I said, this is all public. You can go right on her page and see this here. Here she is in 2014 again. Somebody said, where you get that blouse? Oh, you can call now. That's what she put on here. And then somebody else said cute. So this is her backed up on the sink, taking a picture, striking a pose with her tongue licking out of her mouth. Okay. Who is this person? I don't know. Maybe that's someone she knows. Here she is again with the white and black striped bodysuit on. Christopher Baker said, damn. You know, dudes always are thirst trapping, well, thirsting in the on social media. This is her. It looks like she has a long sundress on. She had some type of braids and someone said beautiful. She said, thanks. Looks like the beautiful lady that you are. Thank you, Papa, she said. Somebody said cute. All right. Just know that whenever you have lawsuits, all things on social media can be brought into evidence. So usually they tell you to take your pages down, make them private. Here she's standing on top of the toilet bowl. MAB for life. Okay. Lee Lucas said beautiful. This lets you know what guys are into, y'all. Here she is again, turned around, striking a pose. This says April of 2014. She had some likes on here. All right. You could tell she was younger in the face back then. All right. So this gives you an idea of what her body type was like because she did say that she was the person lying on the table when they were eating fruit off of her at the age of, I believe, 13 or 14, but she said that they first came and got her when she was like 11. So there was a time significance there that did not make sense, an imbalance in time. Somebody said she got legs, F with me, thickness. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. As you can see more pictures. Somebody said you're so beautiful. Now that's the shaky I know. 2 thumbs up. Very nice photo, friend. All right. So it definitely looks like she liked to strike poses for the camera. Looks like she liked to take pictures. Okay. This is definitely her. All right, this one, she's stooping down. Somebody said, my goodness. All S now, LOL, cutie. Keep going here. I don't know. Did she seem like she was? I'm just trying to see what her mind frame was like, y'all. Very nice and fabulous picture, cute and sexy, cute picture. Keep it 100, fun size, gorgeous. You look different. We can't control what people said on her photos, but we can just take a look and see. She said, me and this lovely date, January 4th, 2014. So this would have been after all of the situations that took place with the Puffy situation when she said that she was, abducted, kidnapped, and all of that, right? These are all the pages I think that she liked and stuff like that. All right, so that just gives us a little insight into her background, y'all. Okay, I don't see any videos. So those are just, I guess, public photos that you can actually look up and see. Um, Demisa Ross, one mutual friend. Don't even know who that is. All right, let's keep going, y'all. It says Misha, trafficked by Diddy. Somebody posted this by the name of Brandy Jones 483. Age 14, Lamesha Fuller became the victim of Diddy. But this was posted 3 days ago. So they took a picture of her Facebook and put it on here. I don't know why they did that. So I'm going to close out of that, y'all. I'm going to close out of Facebook. All right, so that's definitely her. This is her now. Now let's actually look at what the lawsuit alleged. Okay. We're gonna review these things. Okay. Now, the actual lawsuit does show photos of this person. And this is her, allegedly, this is her sitting on Diddy's lap. And it looks like she has on no undergarments. Looks like whoever was pictured in this photo was having a good time. All right. This is this person again posing, and her arms look, I don't know, this person just looks different. Like if you can kind of see through the blurred picture here, and I don't know why these pictures look kind of familiar, like I've seen these before, that they came to public. But anyway, um, this person, whoever it is, looked like she was having a good time. And I wonder where her parents were. So let's look at what they said here. And I do remember reviewing this before on my channel. I just could not find the video. I was going through all my videos because I was going to replay the portion where I spoke about this, but I just cannot locate that video. But this says plaintiff Jane Doe, Miss Doe hereby alleges as follows. So she filed this back on December 6th of 2023, about a year ago. Sean Combs, Harve Pierre, the third assailant, Daddy's House Recordings Incorporated, and Bad Boy Entertainment Holdings Incorporated. Here it says, on November 16th, 2023, Cassandra Ventura, Cassie filed, we already know she filed that lawsuit. And because of that lawsuit, then this person filed as well. Let's get into what they're stating took place specifically. Now, this says in 2003, all right? Now, if you recall, Lamesha Fuller, she referenced 2001 right after the um, 2001 9/11 thing had happened. And that's when she said she met SZA. And she said that SZA had an uncle that was a producer. Lamesha claims that she was writing songs, and somehow SZA got a hold of her notebooks, showed them to the uncle, didn't want to give them back, but did give them back. And that's all of a sudden how she got connected with Clive Davis and Diddy, and Harve Pierre would come and pay her for these notebooks full of songs. It's a little far-fetched because if you are in elementary school about to go to middle school, who's really coming, or how did they come around you to get this from you? You said you were staying, she said she was staying with her grandmother during this time. Her mother was on drugs. It sounds like she had no father around. I don't know if she had I don't know if she had any other relatives around, okay? But this story sounds very far-fetched. So specifically in 2003, she was only 17 years old in the 11th grade. That's what this lawsuit alleges. It didn't talk about an 11-year-old, a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old. This talks about being 17 years old. She also, Lamesha Fuller, stated that she never moved past the ninth grade. She never made it past the ninth grade. You can go back and watch these interviews that she's giving. Anybody knows that if you have a lawsuit pending, you don't come out making public statements online, especially on YouTube, one of the most infamous platforms in the world, where you have about one, I want to say, is it like 80%, 70 to 80% of the world uses YouTube at this particular point in time? Now let's take away the elderly, the babies, the children. I'm talking about most of the world. So we're saying, because we just had a meeting on this, our real estate meeting, and we were talking about ways to connect with your audience. And our broker in charge was just telling us, what platforms do you use? So some of the most infamous platforms, number YouTube is ranking number one. And I think about 70 to 80% of the world uses it. So why would you come on to YouTube to state what happened? You need to be speaking to the authorities, your attorney, the police, and keeping everything quiet because you are basically in a, civil case. Now, also, I would have liked to see some of these victims file criminal charges because that will let us know that they really mean business. But let's continue, y'all. In 2003, when she was only 17 years old in the 11th grade, Miss Doe was sex trafficked and gang raped by Mr. Combs, Mr. Pierre, and the third assailant in short. When she was just a teenager, Miss Doe met Pierre and the third assailant in a lounge in the Detroit, Michigan area. While at the lounge, so you see, this assailant met them in Detroit, Michigan. Who else was from Detroit? I think Aaliyah was. But they're not talking about Aaliyah. They are talking about Miss Doe, whoever she is. Now, we clearly saw that Lamesha Fuller is from Garland, Texas, which is what it said where she was residing during that time. Okay. While at the lounge, Mr. Pierre insisted that he was best friends with Mr. Combs, and even called Mr. Combs with Miss Doe. Now, this is very interesting because another lawsuit that I just went over shows that Harve Pierre was also implicated in the acts with Sean Combs as well. So he is an assailant that does partake in these affairs and these assaults, allegedly. Mr. Combs convinced Miss Doe, who was half his age at the time, to accompany Mr. Pierre and the third assailant on a private jet to come to his studio in New York City. So there we go. Lamesha Fuller said that she was on a private jet, but this one right here says that the person was asked to come on the private jet. Now, at the age of 17, where were her parents? Where was her mother that she had the freedom to just freely go and get on a private jet without anybody wondering her whereabouts? Before they left for their private jet, Mr. Pierre smoked crack cocaine in a bathroom at the lounge, in which he also SA'd Miss Doe by forcing her to give him oral sex. So before they left, this is what happened, right? Okay, and it says the third assailant is a pseudonym. When the name of the third assailant is revealed during discovery, plaintiff will seek to amend the complaint to replace the pseudonym. So I just want you to keep that last detail in mind. This is before they went on the private jet. Mr. Pierre, third assailant, and another gentleman then escorted the high schooler to a private jet. Now, I want you to think about this. They met at a lounge and a bar. Why was she at a bar and a lounge if she wasn't trying to act if she were older? And then if this happened in the bathroom and the person smoked drugs in front of her and forced her to commit these acts, why didn't she try to get away? And if she was at this public place, how did she get out of that establishment in front of all these people only to be escorted to a private jet? And a jet cannot take off anywhere. A jet has to actually take off from a runway, I would believe. It flew from Teterboro, New Jersey. There were SUVs awaiting the group at Teterboro, and the four of them, so she went by herself. She didn't think this felt a little awkward. Why would you go on a private jet with people that you do not know? I don't care if this person is, people got to understand. These people are strangers. Just because you see them on TV, it doesn't mean anything. They are showing you a facade. They are actors and actresses. You don't personally know these people. So you allowed them to willingly get kidnapped. That's what this looks like. But let's continue to go. And I'm not trying to build a case, on behalf of the defense. I am just saying that this doesn't sound right. Stranger danger, just say no. All right. So the four of them were driven to Daddy's house recording studio, a studio famously owned and operated by Mr. Combs and Bad Boy. So she got on a plane willingly with Mr. Pierre, a third assailant, and another gentleman. So three men took her onto a plane and she went. Didn't say she struggled, put up a fight, said she didn't want to go. It says she met the man at the bar. He said he was best friends with Diddy, and they talked her into getting on a private jet, and she went. I don't know if they knew her age. It never says if they asked her age, if she told them the age. While at the studio, Mr. Combs and his associates, including Mr. Pierre, plied Miss Doe with drugs and alcohol. As the night wore on, the 17-year-old Miss Doe became more and more inebriated, eventually to the point that she could not possibly have consented to having sex with anyone, much less someone twice her age. Why was she there in the first place? Why was she partaking in drugs and alcohol? And why was she over there by herself? No other friends with her? Hmm. While at the studio, Miss Doe was gang RAPED by Mr. Combs, the third assailant, and Mr. Pierre in that order. I'm not trying to take up for them, but we need to take accountability for our actions, even if you were victimized, because you can put yourself in a very dangerous situation and your life can be at risk and threatened. This is nothing to take lightly. So the more that you coddle the victims or make excuses for this behavior, the more it is easier for people to put you in a situation and you to allow yourself to be put in a situation where you may not be seen anymore by your family or friends. So we need to take our actions very seriously when we partake in activities that are not beneficial to us, especially as females, acting alone, especially by ourselves and without anybody else to know our whereabouts. This was a very dangerous situation. While at the studio, Miss Doe was okay, we read that. Mr. Combs was RAPING Miss Doe. He complained that he could not get off unless she pinched his nipples as hard as she could. Mr. Combs then watched on his third assailant, who Miss Doe had not even realized had begun to have sex with her. RAPED Miss Doe as she told him to stop. Now, these things do sound familiar from some of the other alleged victims, what they have stated as well. After third assailant was finished, Mr. Pierre took his turn at RAPING Miss Doe and then violently forced her to give him oral sex, during which Miss Doe was choking and struggling to breathe. When Mr. Pierre finished, he left Miss Doe in the bathroom alone. Miss Doe fell into the fetal position and lay on the floor. Her private area was in pain. Her female private area was in pain. Finally, after a period of time, Miss Doe regained her bearings. However, she could barely stand up following the gang RAPE and had to be helped to walk out of the building and back into a car. So somebody helped her up and walked her out of the building and back into a car. She was taken back to an airport, but who did all of this and flown back to Michigan? However, she was very limited. However, she has very limited recollection of her transport home and only remembers being in her car sometime early in the AM. How did she get those photos of being at the studio? Who took those and how did she get the photos? All right, let's keep going. Unlike many victims who have come forward after decades, Ms. Doe can prove that she not only met Mr. Combs, okay, a lot of people have met him on the night in question, but was in the studio, in his studio in New York City with him on that night. Yes, we can clearly see that somebody was sitting there on his lap looking like they were having a good old time. Remember when viewing these, Ms. Doe was 17 years old. Did they know she was 17? Did she tell them she was 17? I mean, because the actions of females, we already know how females can act very grown. Even in the R. Kelly situation, some of them went back over there. They had the option to leave and they went back. This one didn't say that they held her hostage. It just looks like she partook in a wild night, if you ask me. And I am not taking up for anybody. And I'm not trying to victim blame or victim shame. But this does not look to me like she was victimized. It looked like she was actually having a good time. Miss Doe has lived with her memories of this fateful night for 20 years. Why didn't she go to the police? Why didn't she file a police report? Why didn't she go to the hospital to have, an exam or a checkup or something like that? She waited till 20 years later after Cassie filed a lawsuit to bring this into fruition, during which time she has suffered extreme emotional distress that has impacted nearly every aspect of her life and personal relationships. Given the brave women who have come forward against Ms. Combs and Mr. Pierre in recent weeks, Ms. Doe is doing the same. To that end, Ms. Doe brings this action seeking injunctive, declaratory, and monetary relief against defendants in violation of the Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Law, Gender Motivated Violence Act. Excuse me. Plaintiff Jane Doe is a citizen of Canada. Okay. She's a citizen of Canada. So she's not even a citizen of the United States of America. Oh boy, y'all. So when this happened, she was living in a suburb of Detroit, Michigan, and she was an 11th grader, 17 years old. At the time, Mr. Combs was 34, twice the age. I mean, well, look at Cassie. Cassie was 19, and what, Diddy was like 39 or something like that. So I guess the only difference is the 1 year difference to make her legal. Um, It says, after essaying Miss Doe, Mr. Pierre directed her to accompany him, the third assailant and a third member of their group, to an airport in Pontiac, Michigan, where Signature, a fixed base operator, had prepared a private jet to take the four of them to New York City. All right, so this goes into more detail about what actually happened, okay? Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back, y'all. I didn't see all of this. Factual allegations. In 2003, Ms. Doe, okay, she was residing. All right, we already got that. Um, a decade earlier, Mr. Combs founded Bad Boy and installed his longtime friend, Mr. Pierre, into the role of president. At the time, Mr. Combs had many connections to Michigan, including, among others, to the Black Mafia family, BMF, a drug trafficking and money laundering organization that is rumored to have seeded Bad Boy. We already heard about that. Accordingly, upon information and belief, Mr. Combs' associates, including Mr. Pierre and a third assailant, spent significant time in and around Detroit, Michigan. Yeah, Gene Deal told the story about how they went in and robbed somebody for the money to form Bad Boy. Yeah. On one evening between spring and fall of 2003, Miss Doe was out with friends. It was not uncommon for her and her friends to frequent bars and lounges in the Detroit area. Why is she at bars and lounges at 17 with friends? So this is what she did. This was not uncommon. She was just hanging out at the age of 17. Was she closer to 18 or was she doing this at 16 as well? Certain of Miss Doe's certain of Miss Doe's friends were all well connected with people in the music industry. So see, there it goes. On the evening in question, Miss Doe was with friends in a lounge when she was approached by who she later learned was Mr. Pierre. Mr. Pierre was with his own friends, including the third assailant. Mr. Pierre, the third assailant, and their friends were dressed in suits. Mr. Pierre repeatedly complimented Miss Doe's appearance, saying that she was hot, among other things. He then began talking about his self-described best friend and brother, Mr. Combs. Specifically, Mr. Pierre continually stated that Mr. Combs would love to meet Miss Doe. Mr. Pierre even called Mr. Combs and put Miss Doe on the line. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Mr. Combs told Miss Doe that he would love to meet her and that she should accompany Mr. Pierre to New York City in a private jet. Shortly thereafter, Mr. Pierre directed Miss Doe to go with him into the bathroom at the lounge. So, did she go? Did she willingly go? Who does this? You're at a bar or a lounge. A man comes up and talks to you dressed in a suit and says, "Oh, I have some friends. I'm friends with Mr. Combs. He would love to meet you. Let me get him on the phone." So now that they've gotten that established, come with me into the bathroom. And then she willingly goes in the bathroom. What does she think was about to go down in the bathroom? Why does she even go? So she's sitting among her friends. Out of all the group of friends, she decides to go. And the rest of the friends just stayed put. Once inside the bathroom, Mr. Pierre began to smoke crack cocaine from what appeared to be an aluminum can. After he finished smoking the crack, Mr. Pierre suddenly took out his you know what, demanded that Miss Doe suck his D and forced Miss Doe's head down to perform oral sex on him. So there's no way for her to yell, scream, fight, get anybody's attention, get out of there before all of this started. She saw him smoking the crack. So when he grabbed her head, I think, you know what? I want to keep my comments to myself. After SAing Miss Doe, Mr. Pierre directed her to accompany him, the third assailant and the third member of their group, to an airport in Pontiac, Michigan, where, okay, so this is when he tells her that she should get on a private jet. So she leaves the lounge where her group of friends are. It was three other friends there. She leaves the people that she knows and goes with these men that she does not know and gets on a private jet. Is that what we're saying? Or did they meet up here willingly, knowing that they were going to meet someone here? Upon information and belief, the private jet landed at Teterboro Airport. This makes no sense at all. She distinctly remembers seeing a sign for the company Technicolor. Upon entering the studio, Ms. Doe first encountered Mr. Combs. At the time she arrived, a female recording artist was using the studio as Mr. Combs and her parents watched on. Okay. Whoever this person was probably was a teenager back then. She finished up shortly after Ms. Doe arrived and left. I don't know who that person could have been in 2003. While still in the and you know what? Then if that's the case, they could call that person in as a witness because they should remember, and the parents, if they're still around, should remember this person showing up on that day with this D&G shirt. While still in the studio section of Daddy's house, Mr. Combs asked Miss Doe to sit on his lap to take a picture. A copy of the photograph is below. Who gave her the copy? I want to know. Mr. Combs, Mr. Pierre, and the third assailant began to ply Miss Doe, a 17-year-old child at the time, with copious amounts of drugs and alcohol. Now, did she willingly take this stuff or did they force her to? It's a difference. All right? It's a difference, in my opinion. And did they know her age? They still never answered that question. While the evening became a blur, Miss Doe does recall Mr. Combs, Mr. Pierre, and the third assailant, and they're protecting the third assailant. Who is this person? Hitting on her incessantly, stroking her body, asking her to see her ASS, and telling her how hot and sexy she was. Well, apparently she was feeling herself, y'all, because clearly we saw her sitting in Diddy's lap, and it looks like with no undergarments on. Various other pictures were taken in the studio that night. And this is very disgusting because she got passed around to what, three people? But anyway, various other pictures were taken in the studio that night, leaving no doubt that Miss Doe was in Mr. Combs' New York studio with Mr. Combs on the night she was allegedly RAPED because she was already in the bathroom with Mr. Pierre giving him oral you know what. So she put his mouth on him, a man of which I'm assuming the way this story is told, she had never met him before, but she willingly went into the bathroom in the lounge because he said he knew Puffy after they called Puffy on the phone and Puffy spoke to her, said he would love to meet her. Then Pierre says, "Oh, come into the bathroom with me." So she willingly goes in the men's bathroom. Or did they go in the women's? I mean, either way, why are you going into the bathroom with this man? With this man, you left your group of friends to go into a private bathroom or a bathroom setting. Why would you do that? And he started smoking cocaine in front of her, so she just watched. She had to be down with the program. She used to get down back in the day, y'all. That's all I'm gonna say. At this night, as the night wore on, the 17, and they keep pointing her age, 17-year-old Miss Doe, but this 17-year-old was experienced already, in my opinion. Okay. She became more and more inebriated, eventually to the point that she could not possibly have consented to having sex with anyone. Did she consent to what she did with Harve Pierre in the bathroom at the lounge before they got on the private jet? When she got up and left her friend sitting at the table? Did she consent then? Because it says he forcefully put her head there and like, okay, anyway, much less someone twice her age. Okay, I'm not buying that. Nevertheless, that evening, Mr. Combs directed Miss Doe to accompany him to the bathroom at the studio. Once there, Mr. Combs, okay, so again, someone is asking her to go into a bathroom, and there he removed her skirt and underwear and penetrated her from behind with his you know what while she hung over the sink. Hmm. Miss Doe did not consent. Did she tell him to stop? Not saying that this was okay, but did she ever say she didn't want this to take place? So it says she did not consent to this with Mr. Combs, but he continued thrusting. At some point, Mr. Combs turned Miss Doe around to face him. He told her that he could not orgasm and asked her to squeeze his nipples as hard as she could to help him get off. He then turned her back around and continued to rape her. Did she squeeze as he asked? What did she do? What did she say? Did she fight back? Did she tell him no? By this point, Miss Doe was coming in and out of consciousness because of the drugs and alcohol she had been given by defendants. Her next memory was looking up into the mirror above the sink to find that the third assailant had replaced Mr. Combs and was raping her from behind. So they felt like it was okay, I guess, which I'm not saying that this was okay. Mr. Combs was watching the third assailant SA Miss Doe from a chair outside of the bathroom. Sounds familiar. At this point, Miss Doe mustered the energy to tell the third assailant to stop and that she did not want to be doing this with him. The third assailant did not stop and continued to keep going. Miss Doe, who did not have the strength to force him off of her. After the third assailant was finished, he was replaced by Mr. Pierre. So they ran a you know what on her, who began by having non-consensual vaginal, you know what, with Miss Doe before violently forcing her to give him oral, you know what, again. Okay. During the latter part of the assault, Mr. Pierre forced his you know what into her mouth without her consent. So Miss Doe remembers that Mr. Pierre was sweaty and that he had difficulty and that she had difficulty breathing. When Mr. Pierre finished, he left Miss Doe in the bathroom alone. Miss Doe fell into the fetal position and lay on the floor, and her private area was in pain. So you mean to tell me they went to the lounge to pick her up to do all this to her? And flew her on a private jet just to do this? Finally, after a period of time, Miss Doe regained her bearings. However, she could barely stand up following the attack and had to be helped out of the building and back into her car. She was taken back to an airport and flown back to Michigan. Did they threaten her? That's what I want to know. Did they tell her not to talk about it? Don't say anything? Did they try to pay her off? Let's see. However, she was very limited, recollecting her transport home and only remembers being in her car sometimes early in the AM. Her underwear was missing. Clearly, they were missing when she was sitting in Puffy's lap taking those pictures. As a result of being attacked by Mr. Combs, Mr. Pierre, and the third assailant, Miss Doe suffered significant emotional distress and feels of shame, uh, feels of shame that have plagued her life and personal relationships for 20 years. Okay. Miss Doe knew that speaking out against defendants would be extremely difficult and that she would likely be subjected to retaliation and defamatory slurs and attacks. What type of retaliation? What type? why did she feel this way? Is what I want to know. Did they threaten her? What did they say? What did they do to make her feel this way? However, in November 2023, okay, so after Cassie filed this big lawsuit, that's when she started to come out. So, all right, and that's it for that, y'all. I can't. Let's go on. Okay, judge rules that Jane Doe cannot remain anonymous if Diddy gang RAPE lawsuit proceeds. This was March 1st, 2024 of this year. So this is the same person. A New York federal judge has denied the request of a woman to remain anonymous in her lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs and two others after claiming they gang violated her in 2003 when she was 17 years old. In a ruling filed by Judge Jessica G. L. Clark on Thursday, she acknowledged that the public disclosure of the plaintiff's identity, referred to as Jane Doe, could have a significant impact on her, particularly given the graphic and disturbing allegations in this case, documents obtained by USA Today state. However, the accuser did not provide specific examples of how she would be affected. Thus, the court cannot rely on generalized, uncorroborated claims of how disclosing her identity would have consequences. She has failed to demonstrate particularized harm or current vulnerabilities, the judge wrote. Clark also referenced similar lawsuits previously filed against Kevin Spacey and Harvey Weinstein, where they were denied I always mess this word up. Anonymity. Anon Anonymity. Okay, go me. All right. The Southern District of New York Court will first determine whether they will honor Combs' dismissal request before Doe would have to publicly reveal her identity. USA Today has reached out to her attorney for comment. All right. The original lawsuit filed in December alleges Combs and two others gang attacked Doe when she was in her junior year of high school, according to court documents obtained by USA Today at the time. Did she ever tell anybody, her parents, her mother, any relatives, friends, family, somebody, colleague? What about those friends at the lounge? What happened? Did she ever go to the police? Did she go to the doctor, the hospital? That's what I'm not understanding. Combs, who has been accused of essay and physical assault by multiple women, and producer Lil Rod Jones Jr. in several recent civil suits. Where are the criminal suits? Where are the criminal charges? They all want to file civil because you get money for that, but who wants to file a criminal claim against Diddy? So nobody wants to see him get locked up for what they have endured. Hmm. Is named in Doe's lawsuit along with former Bad Boy Entertainment president Harve Pierre, who has also been accused of essay in a separate suit. In a response filed last month, Combs denied Doe's allegations. According to the court documents obtained by USA Today, the music mogul claims he never participated in, witnessed, or was or is presently aware of any misconduct, essay, or otherwise in relation to the accuser. You know what? This is going to be word versus word. It's three of them and one of her. She doesn't have physical evidence that this occurred. I'm sorry to say it that way, y'all. But you know they're probably all going to lie for one another and take up for each other because they don't want to go down for this. In Diddy's response to Doe's suit, his lawyers pushed back about the validity of the photos featured in the original complaint that Doe claimed were taken at the studio that night in 2003, including one where she's sitting on the lap of Combs, then 34. I don't question the validity of the photos. I question her looking very comfortable in the photos. Okay. The suit alleges Pierre approached all right, we already know what the suit says. All right. And they're saying that she was a vulnerable high school teenager. They talk about drugs, alcohol, transporting her by private jet, all of this. The depravity of these abhorrent acts has not surprisingly scarred our client for life. Okay. She's scarred for life, y'all. That's what they're saying. They filed, okay, a series of lawsuits filed in court in November were subject to New York under the Adult Survivors Act, which expired on November 23rd. The gang R allegations filed in this particular case constitute a crime of violence motivated by gender under New York's violation of the Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Law. the suit says. And they keep talking about Cassie, but like, I still look at Cassie a little sideways too, because Cassie, this was a civil case. I didn't see any criminal thing that went that she filed against him. Like, she didn't try to get him locked up. She just wanted him to pay her money. So you got to think about that. When someone truly has been victimized, y'all, they want that person to suffer, not just pay them money. They want to, I will lock them up and have them to pay me money. Both. I want it all. Not just, oh yeah, I want to file a lawsuit. That's how I probably would feel. Like, you need to pay for this. How can you go on and live your life? Oh, you can pay some money and still live your life? Like, that's, you're not getting justice like that, right? Y'all, so yeah, it's very interesting about these Diddy claims and stuff like that. Let me see something here. I did want to talk about how long have we been on here? I don't know how long we've been on here, but I did want to talk about Thanksgiving. So I might end the live stream and talk about this massacre of a holiday that everyone celebrates and partakes in. Please understand that you are partaking and celebrating the slaughter, the beheading of your ancestors, your indigenous people, your Native Americans, which we are, how they came over here and stole this land from us, and it was not peaceful between the Pilgrims and Indians. Please understand that. They make the Pilgrims come out to seem like they were so peaceful, so innocent, so religious. I too was indoctrinated as a child through school, not understanding the truth, and they are still telling these lies to our children today. So I cannot feast and celebrate and partake in a holiday that celebrates the massacre of my ancestors, because their DNA and their blood runs through my veins, which is why I sit here today. I am, I'm going to claim this because this is what I am. We are Native Americans. We are true indigenous people of this land. We were already here. They took our people and put them into captivity, made them indentured servants, AKA indentured slaves. Um, Not all of us came on a boat from Africa. We're not African American. We are Native Americans. We are indigenous to this land. All right. We are the true Native people. And all these people that claim to be Indian, and you can look at them and see that they're not really Indian people. They did that to claim the benefits and the rights of this land. All right. And it's really sad how we are still facing a lot of oppression because our land was taken away from us. A lot of diseases came over here by way of Christopher Columbus and his people that killed off a lot of the indigenous people. So I want to give a shout out to all of the Indian tribes. Shout out to the Shoshone, the Blackfoot Indians, the Cherokee, the Mattaponi, the Sioux Indians, the Pamunkey. We have, did I say Apache already? The Algonquin, the Iroquois. Um, there's so many that we learned about. Yeah, I can remember in third grade, and I used to love learning about the Indians and their culture. I thought it was just amazing. Um, and I used to always say this in fourth grade when I learned about Christopher Columbus. How did he discover something that was already here if the Indians were here? Well, lo and behold, we will learn later in life that they forced our indigenous people further and further out west, put them on reservations, and took this land over. And this is why we are faced with oppression today. This is why we have a lot of things that we deal with today. So I think that's very important. I also want you to check out Professor Griff's channel. He did a very great live stream. It's about 59 minutes long. You should actually review that live stream with your family as you sit here today and reminisce in Thanksgiving and just learn about your history. Learn about your true history of, what, has really come of America. It's only an hour long. If you have all this time to spend money in the stores, going out for Black Friday, and don't even get me started on Black Friday, please understand that Black Friday was when they would sell off the slaves and they would auction them off right there at the New York Stock Exchange. You know that building where they go ding, 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 Twin Towers and all of that, where you would see them doing all of that business and stuff like that. They used to right there in Manhattan have this thing where they would put the slaves up there and they would auction them off, because you understand that they didn't look at us, they didn't look at our people. Our melanated people were not looked upon as humans. They were seen as one third of a person or something like that. Looked on as chattel, meaning they had ownership over you. This is why the government still has, your parents to sign a social security number for you. That means that really the government owns you. And then you have a birth certificate, which really should be worth bonds and money. And really, we shouldn't even be paying taxes. Let's not even get started into that. When we start talking about these type of things, nobody wants to hear that narrative or the conversation. They don't want to hear the truth. They are so invested in Diddy. Was a billionaire. Diddy could have helped his people. Diddy cared about himself and having freak offs. All right. He got fixated on all these drugs and having parties with demonic, satanic practice and worship. And instead of these, which I like to classify as celebrities, these infamous people coming together, pooling their money together to help our people, our native people, they're not going to do that. And it is up to you to take matters into your own hands, to stop depending on everybody else and think that they're going to come save you. They're never going to come save you. Shout out to Michael Jackson, all right? Because he did say that. He used to send messages all the time in his videos, interviews, and especially in his music. And he had substance. Who do we have in the music industry that's left over for today, y'all? Who's left over today? Who do we have? Like, Puffy was, notorious for what he did. He was taking a lot of songs and remixing them. But who do we have today that we can really say they've taken away all the great people? Whitney is gone. Luther Vandross is gone. Um, I can't think of his name. Isaac Hayes is gone, y'all. It's so many of the great people. Prince is gone. Michael is gone. Like, how can you not understand? Aaliyah is gone. And they keep taking these people out and doing these ritualistic spiritual practices, because who controls all of this? Y'all look up Universal, UMG Music Group, Universal Music Group. Who owns it? They're out in the Netherlands. All this music that you hear, all these rappers, all these entertainers that are selling their masters, selling their publishing, should not even be taking place, because they're going broke, because they don't know how to manage money. They're not financially articulate when it comes to money. That is the stuff we should be teaching our people and our children, not how to twerk, not about how to be a drug dealer, not about how to have freak off parties. Everybody is so fixated on Black Friday today. But what about inventing something of your own? What about coding? What about being the Steve Jobs of your own intellectual property, of your own invention? And one of my friends, we were just talking today about how China, as your president, your future president, Donald Trump likes to say, China, they are so more advanced than we are in technology over in Asia. Those Asians have always been so intelligent and smart. You can see even in school, like they don't play when it comes to education. And some of the Hispanics don't play when it comes to education. Nobody wants to talk about education. Everybody wants to be blissfully ignorant. And this is why you suffer today. This is why your children suffer today. Nobody wants to talk about the trafficking that's going on behind the scenes, the human trafficking, the child trafficking, and it's really sad. But I digress. So, anyway, y'all, stay abreast and look forward to that live stream. If you like my videos, if you like the information that I share, please like, share, subscribe, especially subscribe. I'm trying to get my subscribers up. Y'all, if I could just get to 500 and then to 1,000, it's been a very long struggle for me. People are not always going to agree with what I say, and I can't care about that. This channel is about truth, and I'm thinking about renaming my channel. Actually, I thought of another title, but we'll see. Because I want to get out of the brown girls are beautiful thing, but I was told that people like that, and they were sad to hear that I'm thinking about changing the name, because I don't want to put myself in a box. When you start putting like an attachment on something and it's race, because brown girls gives the it sets that narrative. You know that brown girls mean what? It's a brown girl. And people think, oh, that's Middle Eastern. Because I see a lot of Middle Eastern people claiming to be brown. But I am talking about our melanated individuals with copper toned skin, golden glowers, bronze beauties, caramel cuties. I'm talking about us, our melanated people, our indigenous people. We're celebrating ourselves. And that's what Brown Girls Are Beautiful is all about. It's the name of my clothing brand, y'all. Follow me on BGAB TV. That's on Instagram. That's BGAB underscore TV. Also, you can check me out on Rumble. That's Living Legend TV. I'm going to be probably switching over there pretty soon, being on there more often because they actually monetize you a lot quicker than YouTube. And you get commercials on your videos right away. Yes, indeed. YouTube is very messy, it's very low vibrational. They push a lot of nonsense that I don't want to see. Shout out to Delbert Blair. Check him out if you haven't. Shout out to King Simon. Check his channel out. You know, I'm about intellectual um, rising. I don't like a whole lot of nonsense, and I don't like to entertain folly, you all. But anyway, that is a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. If you like my energy and you rock with me, subscribe to the channel. I have a lot of good content on here that doesn't get pushed. A lot of my stuff gets banned because of the things that I talk about, especially when it comes to politics, melanated topics, and just things that really affect and impact society as a whole. All right, but just like that, I am going to sign on out. Remember to always walk in your divinity, celebrate yourself, and I hope you all have a wonderful, beautiful, blessed night. Please cherish your family, your loved ones, and everybody while they're here. And if you can't be with your loved ones, just send them some positive energy and spirit. Shoot out a text, send them a voice clip, voice message, give them a call, FaceTime them, email them. Reach out to them on social media. It's so many ways to get in contact with people these days. People don't write letters anymore, but people can still send birthday cards and things like that and gifts, y'all. So just show people that you care about them while they're here. If you'd like to Cash App me, that is Cash App BGAB Clothing. All right, Cash App BGAB Clothing. Dollar sign BGAB Clothing, y'all. All right, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you so much for rocking out with